Kung Fu Panda 3 is finally coming out, and as such, it's time for me to talk about it. So, before I get into that, I'm of course just going to briefly share my thoughts on the first two Kung Fu Pandas. Kung Fu Panda is the last DreamWorks film I saw in theaters. It was at the time I was starting to grow out of animated films before I recently discovered my love of animation. That's not to say that I haven't seen DreamWorks films since. I have seen I've seen every single DreamWorks film. It's just that was the last time I went to the theaters and saw a DreamWorks film. And as far as the last film to see in theaters goes, Kung Fu Panda was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And going back and rewatching it, it's still really fun. I bought it on iTunes. When the sequel came out, I kind of was looking, I was like, this is just another lame sequel. But I finally checked it out through word of mouth, specifically Anima and Doug Walker, and I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was. And the depressing thing was I had an opportunity to see this film in theaters. It was I have a summer birthday, just in case anyone's wondering, and, as a combination of that and also not only summer birthday treat, but also just final movie before going to sleepaway camp. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. I chose to see Cars 2. Why? Because this was a time when I personally thought Pixar could do no wrong. I had my doubts about Cars 2, but ultimately I figured, you know what? Pixar, they've done no wrong. They only make sequels when they have good ideas. Cars 2 will be fine. I mean, Pixar just did Toy Story 3, so I have no doubt Cars 2 will be fine. And it sucked. I don't like it for the reasons that a lot of people don't like it. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the guy running the theater, he accidentally put in the reel for Kung Fu Panda 2, so it started at first, I felt, wait, is this a trailer? And then it turns out it was the actual movie, because I guess they're both animated and they both have two. So my dad walked out, talked to the actor, he's like, hey, is this Cars 2? He's like, yeah. And it's like, well, why is Kung Fu Panda 2 playing? He looked in and is like, oh my gosh, why is that playing? So they switched the reels, and in all honesty, you should have kept it going, because Kung Fu Panda 2 is a way better sequel. If Cars 2 is how not to do a animated sequel for little kids, Kung Fu Panda 2 was how to do it, and it's just sad that these came out both at the same time, and that, particularly for Anima, because he had to go from this amazing sequel that was Kung Fu Panda 2 to Cars 2. And if you've seen Kung Fu Panda 2, you know it had this really good ending that for the past 5 years we've been waiting on. We learned that Poe's dad is alive. So here we are 5 years later, and we finally are at Kung Fu Panda 3. And I'm pretty excited about this. This is one of my most anticipated animated films of 2016. It might be my most anticipated, although I have to look and see what I put for most anticipated. But I'm pretty sure that my most anticipated one was either... I honestly feel like it's tied between Moana and Zootopia. I'll just look it up later. But anyway, I think this one's going to be fine. I have my doubts, which I'll get into a bit, but overall, I have faith. For one, Kubo and the Two Strings looks amazing. For one thing, the director Jennifer Hua Nelson's returning, who's one of the few female directors out there directing animated films, and there's not enough of that. But anyway, she's the woman who brought us Kung Fu Panda 2 is returning, so we're in good hands as far as development goes. There's no shortage of room for a sequel. The Kung Fu Panda films have always been good about leaving room for a sequel. The first one, we have the element of Poe's parents, which is a major part of the second film, and third film, again, left it open. Poe being reunited with his dad, so there's that. We have J.K. Simmons as a villain, which you can't go wrong with that. I'm sure he'll be used better here than Terminator Genesis. We have the evolution of Poe's character. The next step, him becoming a teacher. We have the Poe being torn between his two fathers. His the one who took care of him versus his biological father, and his real father is voiced by Bryan Cranston. And it could be overstuffed, but from the trailers, it seems like, all these stories are going to tie together from Poe having to go to his village and train the pandas to defend themselves against the evil J.K. Simmons villain. It could run the risk of being cluttered, but I don't think so. But there's always that possibility. Just like there's a possibility this could be a cliche film. I mean, not only do we have the Meet the Family, Meet the Kids film that a lot of sequels tend to do. I mean, look, every DreamWorks sequel has had that Meet the Parents bit. Not only that, Rio 2 did it a couple of years ago. Plus, we have the Meet the Father cliche in the third movie, which Aladdin and the King of Thieves did, and Indiana Jones 3 did. But, again, both of those were good movies. The other thing going against this film is that it's a threequel, and DreamWorks has yet to have that really good threequel. They've only had two so far, it's funny. DreamWorks has been around this whole time. They've only had like 2 threequels, both none of which are particularly good. Shrek 3 is considered the franchise killer in a lot of people's eyes, although I personally didn't hate it as much as everyone else. And Madagascar 3 was fine, but Madagascar, in my opinion, is still one of the weakest DreamWorks franchises. But again, I feel like Kung Fu Panda is a bit stronger than Madagascar. Also, the animation looks gorgeous. Especially now DreamWorks has this new animation software, which they've put to some really good use, from How to Train Your Dragon 2 to Home, with some beautiful backgrounds. And also, CellSpec pointed this out, but in Penguins of Madagascar, they specifically made the villain an octopus just so they could show off the new animation. So along with that, you also have the fact that this woman's like a huge fan of Tartakovsky's art style from Samurai Jack, which I have no doubt will return, and it's going to look gorgeous. It's one of those films that's actually probably going to use the 3D well. And I personally hope we get a spin-off movie in that style. I'm a little worried about how this film's going to do financially. I have no doubt it will be fine, but it's the money that worries me. Because DreamWorks, they haven't been on top lately. Most of their films have underperformed. They've either done okay at the box office or just completely bombed. And that's part of why they moved Kung Fu Panda 3 where it was. They wanted to be in a January spot where there wasn't as much competition. And while they should be fine, because again, Kung Fu Panda 3 is a big franchise, but so was Penguins, and that bombed. But at the same time, there aren't as much competition for family films. Star Wars has been out a while, so most people have seen it like a million times already and gotten out of their system, although I still want to go back and see it 3 times, but I don't have the time. Norm of the North is thankfully bombing, so should be good on that. But I'm still worried, because again, DreamWorks has had a bad track record. Even when they make a really good film, it's not a guarantee. Look at How to Train Your Dragon 2, which opened the same day as 22 Jump Street. Dragon 2, it got really good reviews. It did okay at the box office, but it wasn't the hit DreamWorks wanted. It certainly wasn't the hit and phenomenon that I hoped it would be, because I thought it was it's the film DreamWorks needs to take notes on if they want to continue to make really good films. And I could do a whole rant on why that film bombed, which may or may not include AMC doing a spoilers review on 22 Jump Street, but not How to Train Your Dragon 2. But I digress. I'm just worried that, because there's a lot of people that just look at animation for kids. Not everyone. There are people like myself and Matt Selspec. There's tons of people who enjoy animated films. They don't just dismiss them as children's films. But there are some people who do. I remember when I went to go see Spectre in theaters, and there was a poster for Kung Fu Panda 3, and my brother just sort of shrugged at it, which I'm not going to blame him for it. There was a time when I looked at Kung Fu Panda, and I just shrugged, but it just makes me sad. And then also there's the weather. There was a huge storm in my area this week. I live on the East Coast. I won't say where because I just won't say. But anyway, So that kind of hurt the box office, and it's a time where in the freezing cold, not many people are going to want to go out to the movies unless there's something really big coming out. So that could hurt it as well. I mean, the one thing DreamWorks has going for this is even if this film doesn't do well domestically, there's a huge partnership with China. China's a huge movie making company, so there's always the possibility that for whatever money it makes up domestically, doesn't make domestically, you can make it up internationally through China, which it better. But it would be a real bummer if this film. I mean, I will be surprised if it don't bomb. But it's not a question of whether or not it bombs. It needs to be a hit. DreamWorks needs a hit, or they will risk shutting down. They need success. Because if they don't make success, then they're literally on the point of just shutting down by the end of the decade. And I don't want that. Because DreamWorks isn't the best studio. They have stuff like forgettable films like Home, Turbo, stuff where they're on iPod, but then there's stuff where but when they really try and put effort, they can make some really good films. And they have some talented people out there, particularly in their animation department, and it's in them. And every now and then, it does come together. I mean, we see something like How to Train Your Dragon 2, which was a wonderful film, and it's like, every now and then you get something, and for me, it's worth sitting through the mediocre films if every now and then we're going to get something really good from them that can rival Disney and Pixar. And I know DreamWorks has more in them, and I think Kung Fu Panda 3 might be it. And it would just be a real shame if DreamWorks would have shut down and we weren't going to be able to get more of those films. I mean, I want How to Train Your Dragon 3 to come out. I don't want DreamWorks to shut down or Dragon 3 to fall apart because DreamWorks is falling apart. I want Me and My Shadow to come back. That project looked amazing, but they had to shut it down because of show failures. So I don't normally ask this of people, but please see this film. If you have nothing going on, just watch this film. If not for any interest, then for me. And even if you can't see it, you can buy tickets online now, and it'll count. So just, even if you aren't going to, just lay down like $10, buy like a ticket for Kung Fu Panda 3. Although do it for like a big theater, not a small theater, so you don't book people out who are trying to get in. But if you can't see it, then just do that because it'll count. I want this film to succeed for the sake of DreamWorks. Unlike Home, which was a mediocre film, this is a good film. Like, we don't just want to support DreamWorks so they won't go financially. We want to support them when they make something good, and this will probably be something good. And I'm going to try and see this film, because again, it's DreamWorks. But the thing is, while I haven't seen The Revenant yet and want to, I might just put that on hold for the sake of The Revenant's doing fine. Kung Fu Panda 3 needs to succeed in the way that The Revenant does, and The Revenant will be fine, but in a way that Kung Fu Panda 3 may or may not. So I'm going to try and see that, and you should try and see it too. Although, again, I'm also busy with college and stuff, so I might not get a chance to see it. But please try to see Kung Fu Panda 3. So, what do you think of Kung Fu Panda 3? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you indifferent to it? Comment and let me know. And as always, dislike, comment, subscribe. And this is JStar360. Until next time, get ready to feel the Panda! That's my best impersonation. Take care.